Hi folks, welcome back to the channel and thank you for joining me yet again. Well, recently some of you will recall I did the review on the Zoukei Mura SWS Super Wing series and I did the Dornier 335A file or arrow, the 32nd scale kit, which was absolutely amazing, to be honest, and one of my favourite reviews in terms of enjoyment for a long time. And several of you said, oh, I hope you can do some more of those kits, they're very interesting. So, without further ado, rather than go to the big 32nd scale, because actually the kit I'm going to show you is done in both scales by them, but we've got the Horten Ho229. Now this is the first real true flying wing aircraft, and during the end of World War II, the Horten brothers in Germany, of course, working for the Nazis unfortunately, but they were very clever chaps and they were developing this technology using a delta flying wing before anybody else did, and it's been a very influential aircraft. I mean, just a glance and you can see how it's influenced aircraft like the stealth bomber in America, and of course the Avro Vulcan before it, and others. So I thought we'd take a proper look at this one. And it's one of those, it's not a what-if aircraft. It was developed in World War II, but I don't think it really saw any live action. Again, just a little bit too late, at the same sort of time when they were racing to have all these new designs and they were low on resources and stuff. So let's take a look. Now, it's a very unusual box, this one, because it's quite small. It's 48 scale, so it's not a massive kit, obviously, but it's small, but it's very deep. So it's almost a really dinky sort of shape of box. And it basically says on the side, there's a couple of photos, it's quite simple really, but on the other side we've got a really nice sort of breakdown view, which I'll zoom in for, where we can see the engines and the front of the canopy and the cockpit included, which at 48 scale is, yeah, it's pretty impressive actually. There we go, how's that? There we are. So you can see that they've again got this breakdown airframe style, where you can see the engines and the whole of the spars. It's almost like an exploded view without the skin of the wings on. Very impressive indeed. So let's have a proper look. Come out again a little bit and we'll have a look what's in the box. So this is number 3 in their series, by the way, Super Wing series number 3. And put that gently down. We get typical Zoukei Mura, little almost like a magazine they give you, where they show you all their excellent products. And there you can see what I was saying, 48 scale Horten or 32nd scale Horten. Absolutely amazing. What a choice of, spoiled for choice we are, spoiled for choice. And of course they do Decals 190, they do Mustang, they've got the Heinkel HE209, the Night Fighter Yoo-hoo. What have they got? A Raiden, Japanese Raiden. Oh, so many things actually. Yeah, they've got a Mustang that looks really nice actually. And what's this? The Shinden, the pusher plane. Look at that! Wow. What's nice about these guys as well? They always have these extras you can buy. You can buy lots of aftermarket from them. Some of which is done in collaboration with Eduard. Some of it they do themselves. And you get figures and there's all sorts of things here. Look at this lot. Really some very impressive looking items. Bases, you know, little figures you can buy. They're a growing company and coming along very nicely. So let's have a look in here. We've got some sort of correction sheet and we've got instructions that are not sealed, so we can have a look at those. So I think we'll do that first before we get digging into the box too deep. Let's have a look at this. I'll have a look at this correction sheet first. Do not cement and test fit, and this looks like it's some sort of linkages for the flaps, I think. And a nice big, very clear way of presenting this information. If you can see there, it's quite well done, isn't it? It's showing you an exploded view. Cement as indicated. Oh, all sorts of bits are dropping out now. And then we've got a bit more here. How to assemble certain parts. I don't think it's a correction sheet so much as like an advice sheet where there's one or two parts perhaps have been deemed to be trickier than expected, and so they have added a bit of advice for you, like how to do get the instruments into the frame and how to mount that in the sequence and order that you should mount it in to get the best fit. use extra thin cement, just contact points, touch, a touch adhesion. And they do this zoom view thing, which I quite like on the SWS kits as well. Shows exactly where you should position your cement on this one. So that's all quite clever, isn't it? Actually, that's quite helpful. I think we need a bit more light. A bit more light for these instructions. How's that? There we go. That's a bit better. So yeah, and then they're showing you how to do your gear. So obviously this is just a little bit of clarity, almost like a clarity sheet, exactly where things are supposed to locate and how to apply them in there and how it should look once you've got it in. And there's a lot of advice, keeps repeating the same thing, saying test fit before you use the adhesive. Don't do what I do and go steaming in with glue and then think, oh, that doesn't really fit very, very well, and then you have to rebuild it all. The nose gear looks great, doesn't it? That's amazing. Right, and then here we are, we have another one that they've found obviously later, that they've perhaps overlooked I should say, where you've got a little bit that needs to be cut off. I forgot to tell you. So that's very helpful. There's one more sheet. Instruction manual, additional notes they call it. Yeah. Linkage rod up the front. That's good, it's a very quick reference. Main landing gear, nose landing gear. Very good. I quite like that. I'm going to knock them for having, if they've made a mistake or whatever, it's clarifying it and correcting it quickly that's important. Right, so here we go. We've got the Decals. I was told about that before. Decals is the right pronunciation. And we've got all the code numbers, kind of infinite choices there actually to make it up. And various bits. You've also got your swastikas that are produced in a way that is non-offensive. So they're not actually a swastika until you make them into one. So that caters for all markets. They look very nice, those. Not overly garish. You've got instruments here as well. Cover sheet for them like that. Release liner down. Now then, let's have a look at the instructions. To do for this. So it was a flying wing developed by the Horten brothers in late World War II. The war ended just before they could actually see any actual combat. Which is probably just as well, to be honest. It's a good job they didn't have these. I've said this before, a cliche, but they had these in the Battle of Britain. We'd all be speaking German in Britain and America, I suspect. Anyway, and the rest of Europe too. Now let's have a look at this. Intake and compressor housing. So you've got quite a nice sort of 3D diagram. Warning: assemble with close attention to the direction and mounting position of the parts. Okay. And then we've got your turbine exit, the sort of stator fan blades. Well, they're actually flow modifier blades, aren't they, for the end of the exit of the engine. The hot gas is coming out. Combustion chamber. And then you've got your nozzle needle adjuster shaft. This is like your throttles, basically, is what they're trying to say. Let's just bring in a bit more. There we are. And again, I like this thing with Zoukei Mura. They do this thing where they leave you in no doubt. They show you left side, right side. They don't just have like one or two manufacturers that just have a vague arrow that points around a corner and leave you guessing where it should go and how it should look. They leave you in no doubt. It's quite clear. Shows you before and after you've assembled the parts, how it should look, right hand side view, left hand side view. And you've got the gearbox and auxiliary equipment here. And there's also a little stand, you can mount it on a plinth exhibition stand. Look at that. That's cool. So far so good. And then you've got the fuselage frame going together, all aluminium of course, which was in very short supply at the end of World War II. Well, I say that, was it aluminium or was it steel? I think it's probably aluminium because it's just weight saving. I mean, they only built about 4 of these, I think 3 or 4, from memory, because they were so short of materials. And if memory serves, it's got wooden planking on the wings for lightness again, because they couldn't afford aluminium. And then you've got your ribs going in here. It's a very complicated looking framework, isn't it? It's all there to be structurally supportive and give a spar system that supports the engines as well as the wing and the cockpit in the middle. Quite a lot of detail. You need to take your time over it, I think. It's just a huge frame, really, isn't it? It's like a scaffolding. Like a building site, you know. That's something you'd find in a builder's yard. Anyway, you're building all that, and then you've got the sort of linkages are going in there as well that control the flaps, which we mentioned on the detailed view. Additional information. And then you've got your drag rudder linkage. Drag rudder. I think we mean the flaps, don't they? And you've got your cannons going in here. And again, it shows you what it's beautiful, what it should look like on the left and then on the right and then on the left. So, engines going in, and then you've got this top framework that clamps down and obviously gives rigidity to the top surface. And then you've got the side of the cockpit frame, and then you've got the cockpit itself being built in. So the cockpit's not like a tub; it's just like it's almost like a Hurricane style. It's like a framework you sit in. You've got your gun sight going in there, and then your instrumentation all going in. It tells you what each one is. Lots of decals there, of course. And then we've got the main landing gear, which goes in underneath, and your nose gear, complete with its mud guard going in. And again, left side, right side, top view. You can't criticise them. It's brilliant. It's attention to detail is what's going on here. They don't want you to be in any doubt about how it should look at all. And then we've got nose fairing and the lower surface. The fairings coming in. Air brakes as well. Air brakes deployed or retracted. And you've got your cowls that go in around the engines. And then you've got your wing structure and fuel tanks. So just looking at the structure, it's nice the way they've got this, all the spars are visible, including the inner spar. And then you've got your ailerons going in there, flaps. It's a really, really impressive looking setup, isn't it, this? Fuel tanks as well, the wings fuel tanks going in. Jeez. Then you finally mount them here into the fuselage. And then you've got your wing surface, top surface panel, which I think they are in fact wood, or wood skin on the wings. And you can actually get a wood effect. I'm just going to go back to that little leaflet because I have a feeling it's in there for you, Horten. Yes indeed, you can get this wood effect covering, which you can see here, that goes on the top. So you get a wood grain decal set. So obviously, yes, it's definitely made of wood. Just the skin, of course. Then you've got all your actual flaps and ailerons going in there, as you can see. And then you've got your drag air brakes, basically drag rudders as they call them, air brakes that are deployed on the wing to try and slow it down on landing. And same on the other side, left side. And then we've got your doors going in for your gear doors. For the front gear, that is, and then the main gear underneath. It looks very detailed, doesn't it? Really, really does look detailed here. And then we've got the ejection seat. Now this is one of the first designs to have an ejection seat, along with the Dornier 335 that we spoke of on the other review. This is when the Germans were actually just developing their own ejector seats. Although I think theirs was worked on compressed air rather than an actual rocket motor. I wonder what this one is. Not quite sure we can tell. It's not really obvious there. Not really obvious. Anyway, then you've got your canopy, which slides on this aircraft. It's a sliding canopy, a bit like a FW190 sort of style, something like that. Quite similar in design to that. Forward and rear, or a Mustang, you know, forward rear slider. And then we've got navigation lights going in, and we've got There's I think that's a bleed for the fuel system, a bleed valve. Pitot heads going on there, and then finally we just get the various runners of the sprues and very basic sort of paint guide. And on the back, a little bit more detail. It's actually photographic as well, so you can see how the scheme should look. Brilliant. So, quite nice instructions. Yeah. Compared to the bigger kits, they've obviously just tuned it down, which is fair enough because it's a lot cheaper. You know, I mean, these are costing about, not cheap though. I think this was £70, £75, something of that order, maybe £80. Whereas the other one, the 32nd scale 335 is £150 or more. So you can understand they're not going to go to the same lengths, because in that first one it had lots of photographs of the original aircraft, and it went into a lot of sort of background data in a bit more depth, which you'd expect at that price, you know. But that is very, very good. I quite like it. It's clear, even though it's not huge in size. So I'll pop that back in there. There we go. And those can go to the side, and we'll get the plastic out and see what we have. So, let's have a look. Seen that one. So, here we go. I've got a funny feeling that at this scale this is going to look, in some respects, more impressive than it was at the big scale. We were mighty impressed with that 335. Apart from ejector pins, I remember a bit of a problem on it. Let's have a look. Starting with, here we go, clear parts, or should I say clear wings. Now, we talked about this, and I think, judging by the comments that people left below the video, people seem to agree with what I was saying, that it's a bit silly really, you know, you're putting these clear pieces on, and it's something that would be wood on the real aircraft, so it would never look clear. But obviously if you wanted to make it like a museum piece, you could actually clear wash it and then get it to come very, very translucent. If you spray it with, you know, clear or GCX 100, something like that, GX 100, you probably get it to become much clearer. You lose the frosted effect, and therefore you can have a see-through panel, if that's your thing. Not my cup of tea, but however, what everybody agreed with me, I think, was that on that kit particularly, there was lots of ejector pins on the inside of the clear parts in a silly, silly play. Now, looking at this, we don't have that problem. I think they learned, because I can see the ejector pins, they put them all on here, they've got lots and lots of gate contact points right round the wing with ejector pin points on that instead. So I think lessons have been learned. So that looks really nice. Ignoring the clarity thing. But the moulding, and again, you know, lots of ejector stubs, attachment stubs here, all around the parts. That's the way for them to go, I think. So we've got some great detail. You've got the top of the internal ribbing for the spars. And it's very beautiful, actually. It's a lovely shape, isn't it? It's quite a graceful sort of plate. Like that was very good. Then we have another one which is... that's, oh, I see, that was one wing, top and bottom. Which is which? Top, I think, is the one, yeah, the spars are underneath, I think. Top is smooth, spars underneath. It's pretty nice, and you've got your ailerons, sorry, you can see what I'm talking about. Let's have a closer look for you. Sorry about the light, quite a lot of reflections. It's all bagged and it's quite a nice kit, so I can't really open this one. It's quite a nice sprue. There's no flash here, zero flash. No, that's lovely. Very, very nice. We've got lots of little, I don't know if you can see the access hatches that are in the wing. If you can make those out, little access hatches. You've got these spars and ribs running all the way through it. It's very, very nice. Just get it in clear, that's all. Speaking of which, they've also made clear the very front of the aircraft. So the engine intakes in the front of the nose. It's got this strange sort of stubby nose, hasn't it? It's quite an odd looking plane in that respect. But they made that clear, so again you could have it clear so you can see the engines if that's your thing. But if you don't, just ignore it and spray it as normal, you'll be absolutely fine. And then on the top we've got these inner wing spars where the wing attaches, and that's really nicely moulded. Again with the reflections, I don't know if you can make it out, but it's very crisp. Very, very good is that. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I'm not seeing any of this ejector pin nonsense that we've had in the other ones, so that's really a big step forward, to be frank. Now then, here we have got all of the flaps and slats and ailerons and all the rest of it. And fuel tanks, in fact these are the fuel tanks here. You can see the attachment of the fuel lines coming out of them. Yep. That's really nicely done. Got all the little taps where the fuel goes in. They've done that really, really nicely. Over on this one as well. Fuel tank. They're quite elaborate fuel tanks, aren't they, really, to get those shapes like that, to the shape of the aircraft. That's amazing. And then another one here, and it goes near the back, trailing edge of the wing. More fuel tanks there. Those are great. Nice sprue that. Yes, we like that. Next, what have we got next? This is the engines. So we've got all manner of the actual stator, what do I call them? Stator blades, flow modifiers that really help to accelerate the hot air coming out of the engine here. You've got your the rear fairing within the engine itself that attaches to those, or just beyond those I should say. And then you've got your fan blades here, compressor blade and the exit blade. Obviously there's no afterburn on these, it's a very early jet engine. In fact, what is it? Is it a UMO? I think it might be a UMO engine. And then we have got all the body of the sort of casing of the engine, which looks again really, really special. Can you see? Plenty of detail on there. Look at that. Very, very nice. And some of the fueling system plumbing. Look at that. That's so finely moulded. And they've got the ejector pin. You can actually see they've attached it. Got to do this carefully. Make sure you cut the right things. That some of these are ejector pin points to be removed, and some of them aren't. You should not remove. So you've got to be a little bit careful with that. But it looks really, really sweet. Just like to change the way I pack that. There we go. Now then. Okay, we've got another one that's the same, so that's two there. And then we have got, this is a sprue that seems to have the cannons on here. That looks pretty cool. So what is it, 30mm cannon on these, I think, same as on the ME163. We've also got some kind of ribs for the area around, whoops, where we gone? Wrong end, there we go. Ribs for the area around the air intake here as well. That's quite nice. Some of the internal, looks like the internal stowage or inside the cockpit there. Look at the beauty of these sprues there. There's no flash, there's no faults, short shots or anything like that. Gorgeous. Now then, wow, here we go. A big old sprue this time. So this is the one that's got all this massive framework on it, which as you can see is very, very intricate. I mean, there's a lot of detail here. Wow, you've got to be careful when you're cutting this off the sprue, I tell you. Don't want to slip with your snippers. That would be unfortunate. such a lot of detail. Got your mudguard here. Stops any crud getting flecked up to damage the underwing tanks, Concorde style. Yeah, I often think about that Concorde accident, you know. I often think about that Concorde accident, and I know it was a bit of lots of strange factors came into play with that, but they didn't really have very sufficient mudguards on those tyres, and had they had some, more like you see here, I think it wouldn't have been as severe. Because obviously a strip of metal was flicked up and punched straight into the tank, which caused the fire and then subsequent accident. But they always looked a bit flimsy in terms of not the Concorde gear itself, but the way it was protected. They were like a little metal bar across the back, and that's it. You really needed something like this, didn't it? But anyway, we digress. That is a lot of framework on there, and it's very, very finely moulded. Really nice. Excellent. It's a beauty, to be honest. This treat. Seeing something this good, you know. Here we have another big sprue. This time we're onto the wheels and tyres, which are down at the bottom, as you can see. And there we go. Some really, really nice moulding there. And you've got your gear legs here. And then a bit more framework, because there's a lot of framework in this kit, including all sorts of connectors and gubbins at that end. You've got that spar for the wing here. And you can see on these legs there's lots of hydraulics included, which is one of the things I love about Zoukei Mura. They go to such detail. Instead of doing it as a separate part, they actually mould it in one. Look at that. It's the brake lines for the gear. Incredible. Absolutely beautiful. Very, very impressive. Lots of detail. And then, oh my goodness, we have another one of these clear sprues, which I'm not a big fan of, as you know. But anyway, this has been done so much nicer than the other one because, as I say, it doesn't seem to have, does it? Well, I'm not sure if those are ejector pin marks or not as circles. Maybe they are. What do you think? This is the bodywork on top. Look at these circles. Here, can you see it? Circle. 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 I think those are ejector pin marks. So they have put ejector pins, but they put very big ones. They're very shallow. Yeah, they have. They've got them over here as well, look, on the other piece. Can you see? Here. 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 I thought they got. Well, they didn't do that on the wings, so I don't know why they've had to do it here. Yeah, they have. They've gone and put them on the main body. I suppose the argument is that they suspect you're not going to have that as a clear part. So what's the point of moulding it clear then? That'd be my argument. Yeah, they've done it on here as well. They've got them all over it. So yeah, they're not severe, and they are very, very shallow. And they've got them here as well. They've got them. Oh, I'm getting annoyed with them again. They've got them all over this the covers for the gear as well. So there's actually, they didn't do that on the first sprue with the wings, but they've done it on this sprue for some unknown reason. And you know, they haven't got these stubs. What they should have done here, like they did on the other parts you saw, is have lots of stubs on the side to eject the ejector pin out of the mould, and not put it on the part. So it just defeats the point of having it as a clear part. So I'm a bit annoyed about that. They've just lost the point there. That was daft. Inconsistent within the same kit. Seem to have two completely opposing approaches in the same model. Why? It's almost like a different design team, did it? You know, that's the team from the 335, obviously. Oh, stupid! That's just bonkers. I don't understand it. Anyway, we have here the ribbing, which I have to say looks beautiful. That is just exquisite modelling. Look at this. This is certainly better than what we just saw. Here we go. Every rib, and it's got linkages and connectors and all sorts in there. That is very nice. And here's another one of these linkages that we're talking about in the correction sheet. There we are. That's beautifully done, isn't it? Well, interesting. It was heading for 10 out of 10, this kit, and it's just failed the last hurdle, hasn't it? How annoying. I mean, that sprue makes no sense to me at all. Yeah? It's a hangover from what they were doing on the DO335, and not a good thing. So that was foolish of them, frankly. Foolish. However, it's only on one sprue, so I won't be too put off. I think that overall is a 9 out of 10. I think it's a work of art, and the fact that they've got this beautiful moulding at relatively modest size, it's nice. Very, very nice indeed. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how that went in there. Where was it? Curled in like that? Because it's not really the right. I haven't really folded it, so it must have been like that. There we go. I'll pop it underneath like so. And there we have it. So that's the Horten Ho229 flying wing, which was intended to be a sort of interceptor stroke jet fighter. And as they show, shooting down a B-17 here, it's in real trouble. I like the subject matter, even though it didn't see action like it does in the portrayal in the artwork. But it's a very nice kit, that. Apart from that one thing, it was perfect until we got to that last penultimate sprue, the last clear one. But it's really, really nice, and you know, everything's precision moulded. There's no flash. There's no, you know, it's going to go together nicely as well. And it's something different, isn't it? It's something interesting. Anyway, there we go. 9 out of 10 for sure. Would have been 10, but they dropped the ball a little bit. Thanks anyway for watching. Hope you found it of interest. It's certainly an interesting concept of an aircraft, but it was built. It was not a what if. It was made. The Americans captured them at the end of the war, and frankly, not a day too soon. Otherwise, that would have been the reality over Germany, I think. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the vid, and please give us a thumbs up if you did. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, then please do so. And if you are a subscriber already, don't forget to ding the notification bell, because that will give you early warning as soon as another vid is coming up and have been loaded, and you'll get to see it as soon as it goes live. So, and if you've done all those things already, don't forget to leave us a comment, tell me what you think of the aircraft or the kit. If you've built it, always welcome to hear from people that have built them, because there's no way I can build all these kits that I keep showing you. It's just impossible. And this is not mine, as I say anyway, but it's a beautiful little kit, and yeah, jealous really. It's a good one. Anyway, until next time, thanks very much for watching. I hope you all take care of yourselves, and until next time, thanks a lot, look after yourselves, and bye for now.